talk to them about the story, the name, what the overall kind of story is.
Alright. So I don't want to really reveal too much, but basically, yeah. I don't worry, it's cool, bro.
You have to pay for that ass.
Yeah, man, it's gonna be bare peas, you know. Nah. It'll be worth it. It'll be worth it. It'll be quite pricey, bro. Okay. So the main story is going to be called Jagaban Boy. And it's going to basically be based. I'm going to give a short summary. It's basically about this kid who was experimented on by this underground organization that wants to use him as like a bioweapon for their own personal plans. And he basically manages to escape by being freed by these people called international explorers. Because like basically the politics in this world is that obviously you got a government that rules everything, but you've also got individuals who live by their own law. Obviously you have like gangs and like all of these other things. Well, not gangs, but like criminal organizations and stuff. But long story short, the kid ends up being raised in a city similar to London, and there's a bounty put on his head. So there's different types of like individuals from different types of syndicates and organizations that are after him, and you pretty much see the story progressing there. And the whole point of the story is going to be it's going to be like a coming of age. So it is going to be a very long story, and I also hope to work on like a continuation of a story with different characters to kind of wrap up the whole story. But that's all for now, really.
I mean, like, I've read it, and again, I'm not going to give too much away, but like the best thing about that story is how relatable it is. Yeah. Like you mentioned how like it's supposed to be based in London, and bruv, it's literally like you grew up in London. Like obviously you did, but like the characters, you know, if you grew up in London, you relate to these characters so much, even the way they talk, you know, the way their motivations are, like they just want to get like, but the way the motivations are, but it's put in this really cool setting of a comic book where, like we were talking, it's like it would be like Hunter x Hunter, but like relatable to our world. You know, it would be like Attack on Titan, but relatable to our world. And I think that the ability you have to do that to obviously portray these characters really well, but also you get the basics of just a good adventure story, right? Good coming of age comic, right? You know, the fight scenes, the power levels, like we were talking about before, Hunter x Hunter. You know, the setting of the characters, the even the little things is just really like is really well done. And I think that's especially what I look forward to. Like I look forward to like just people just seeing that and seeing how these characters are so relatable, because I don't think you're right. We have all these stories that we look up to from Japan and stuff, but we don't have something that we can relate to and build off that. So tell me about why you decided to go with that perspective of like, let me make it as relatable as I can to my environment. Hello. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of the Jeoffrey Sarpong podcast. Today, I have a conversation with a friend, Timi. Timi is an aspiring comic and someone I'm glad to call a friend. I met Timi a couple months ago and we just clicked in terms of our mentality. We think the same. We have the same kind of perspective on art. And so I wanted to have him on this podcast because I think not just he's relatable, but he'll inspire some of you out there to really try your own passions. I think Timmy's a super talented writer. He has a unique style where his drawings are just so like, it just, you have to see it. Hopefully I can put it in the comment in the description so you can check it out yourself, or they'll pop up during the conversation that I had with him. But yeah, he has a really unique style, and his writing is just fantastic. You know, it's really super relatable. It's super down to earth. It's super funny. It's super like, if you know what I mean when you check it out. But it's like I call it the comic for the mandem. He's the speaker for the mandem. You know, he's the voice of our generation, I think, when it comes to comics. Not because he just understands intrinsically the little stuff, the stuff that just we can't really describe, and he can put it in his comics so really well. You know, I read his third draft of what I hope is his first comic. It's called Jagaban Boy. And then that is just a fantastic story. I think it's a story about this guy who grows up in London. You know, he grows up in schools, and he's been chased by assassins and all these things. And you have a backstory, and it's like the typical action story, but it's set in London. And I say typical, I just mean that it's like it's done really well in terms of like how everything happens like in sequence, you know. And I think I'm very bad at explaining it. He'll be able to explain it probably better. But when I read it, the one thing I did really get out of it was like, not what was exciting, but it was relatable, you know. And that's why I wanted to have him here to just have a conversation about this, you know. And we talked about more than just his comic. We talked about his influences, why he became a comic, the differences between Western and Eastern art, what he believes it is, how London has shaped his perspective growing up on success, how he handles doubts and setbacks, whether he thinks love has changed over time, how young men should approach love and dating, and what he thinks the meaning of life is, how he deals with the concept of death. It's just like a broad range of topics, as you know we have on here. And I think I had a great time on this conversation, and hopefully you can have too. So without further ado, I present to you Timi. Yeah, welcome, Mandem, to the Jeoffrey Sarpong podcast. Today I have Timi. Timi, do you want to introduce yourself a bit?
So, I'm Timi, 23 years old, aspiring illustrator and comic writer. But yeah, I'm pretty much here with Jeff, as you already know. But it's a pleasure for you to have me here, man.
100%. It's a pleasure to be here. By the way, this is gonna get annoying, the passing of the mics, but it is what it is, bro. It is what it is, bro. Like, it's how it starts for everyone. You start at the bottom and you make your way to the top. But yeah, it is 100% a pleasure to have you here, bro. You're one of the like the few artists that I've met that I'm super inspired by. Super, like, I know we had a conversation about before this started. All the things you do, bro, it's amazing. Your work is amazing. I hope these people check out your work after this. Hopefully, like, I think like you have a fan in me 100%. But that's why I wanted to just have you on here. Maybe just ask me some questions about like your inspirations, what got you into comics in the first place, and then get your thoughts on some like life things. Any advice for the people out there? Because I think you have an interesting perspective. Yeah? Alright, cool. Alright, so first let's start with something like something calm, innit? Like, I remember before we were speaking, you were talking about how some of your favorite mangas, include Attack on Titan, Hunter x Hunter, and Jujutsu Kaisen. Alright, before we even begin, if you were to rank those three, how would you rank them? What would be first, what would be second, and third, and why?
Right.
Take your time.
So you started off with a tough question already.
Of course, bro. That's how
I respect it. Shit, you got me thinking. I won't lie to you. Attack on Titan is always going to be a number one for me.
Mm-hmm. Why Attack on Titan?
Why? I'm gonna be real. It's mainly because of like the story writing. It's the way the whole time travel aspect was obviously incorporated, and it still managed to tell a very, how do you say, concrete story, and it was still coherent, so everything kept following. I think another reason why I was so interested was the fact that it's very original. I haven't really seen an anime which kind of dwells onto a lot of political stuff, and I know that sounds kind of like random for me to say because you got shows like Naruto that obviously kind of go into it, but it's like looking at Attack on Titan kind of made me see it as like this could actually happen with like two different countries. There's conflicts going on, there's not really any right or wrongs, and it's the fact that you're able to kind of like have a protagonist but not like a hero. So it's like, and the reason why I say a protagonist not a hero is because it's like you can see from his perspective why he does some of the things which he does. And I think the reason why it's such a good story is the fact that it's able to, how do you say it, explain how a character acts, but they do it in a way where it's kind of believable but understandable as well. It's very easy to write a villain into a story. He had like some bad things happen to him, but genuinely being able to display like the psychological effects of what's actually happened to the individual, and not just through the gore, but just like writing different perspectives. They all go through certain things, and like obviously I don't know if you've seen too much of the show.
Yeah, I've seen the whole thing.
Oh yeah, you've seen the show. So it's like, for example, someone like Eren and Reiner, right? Two people who've gone through very similar circumstances, both have their own ways of dealing with it, and it's like even though they're put in very similar scenarios, the way they handle certain circumstances is very, not only just like, I don't want to say just believable because it's an anime, but it's like, for example,
I know what you mean. Yeah. In terms of like how they are.
Yeah, exactly. They got remorse, but at the same time, you can see the anger, you can see the lack of morality, but that's very natural in a lot of humans. It's very easy for somebody to get mad and like lose their shit. But yeah. And
then, so what's the other two? So Attack on Titan's first. What's second?
Second, I'd probably say, I'm gonna have to say Jujutsu Kaisen. I think it's only Jujutsu Kaisen because it's still ongoing. Hunter x Hunter is on a hiatus, but Jujutsu Kaisen yet again is another story where its characters are they seem quite well written and fleshed out. It's like, even though the pacing is very quick, you got characters whose overall storylines kind of end up, how do you say it, progressing more, and it's like they don't seem the same throughout. They retain very similar attributes that which are very familiar with us, but at the same time it's like as the story goes on, you kind of see their character kind of like change slightly from different events. Then obviously you got Hunter x Hunter, where it's like I love Hunter x Hunter because it's like the, how do you say, the power scaling, and like even the ideas for the supernatural abilities are very original. It's also very how do you say it? I'm trying to find the right way, but it's like it's not flawed, you know. And when I say it's flawed, it's like it's not flawed. It's more of like it's not broken. It's not like a one person overpowered. It's like it makes sense as to why somebody has. Yeah. So. And
sorry.
No, go ahead, bro.
No, I was gonna say, like, and I suppose especially with like Hunter x Hunter, the power dynamics is so intricately like done. Like he develops on a level where each person, like each character, their personality is in their powers, and so when they have a fight, it's definitely a personality clash, but it's also a power clash. You know what I mean? Like Hisoka, even the way he does the sticky gum thing is just like, you know what I mean? It's weird because it's just how he is, isn't it? Like, and then you start to just deep like, okay, cool. When two people fight, it's a big fight, but it's also like a development of the characters too. You know. And like, so you mentioned this, and you mentioned the fact that you're a comic, right? And you mentioned these two. I know they're not the same thing, but could you speak a little bit more about like the differences and the similarities between comics and manga, and also like how these three comics, you know, these three mangas influence your way of writing stories?
Right. So when you say differences between comics and manga, do you mean just like as in like Western comics and Japanese manga? Okay, exactly, yes, okay. Yeah. So. I mean, I wouldn't say I'm like the best person to ask this, but my perception of it is comics is obviously going to be more appealing to the Western community. It's going to be more relatable, so you'll probably have like a different style. Obviously in the art style, everything's going to be more kind of like not square but like rigid, like for example like the just overall format of how certain characters look. You see people like Batman, Superman, all very like circular and like rectangular builds, but then it's like you have something where it's anime, where it's like, I mean manga, sorry, where it's more, how do you say it, fantasy based. It's more out of this world. It's very original, but it's also got a how do I say it, a linear story, because that's another thing I've noticed in Western comics. It's more based on see it like this, you can get different writers to write a story. You can have 3 different people who writes a Spider-Man story and it's all in the same universe, while mangas are like written by one author, then he has his own team of illustrators and like other individuals who participate in the creation of the manga. So
100%, yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
So how does that, like, now that you realize that, how does that affect the way you come up with stories and stuff like that?
So honestly, I kind of just, the way it affected me is that it kind of gave me, I kind of used both of the how do I say it, I used both of the formulas from manga and comics. With my one, it's like I made a story which is relatable to mainly the Western audience, but I tried to kind of add this fantasy trope where it's like obviously there's extra how do you say it, not like just like extraterrestrials and like different types of like other
kind of
ideas.
mix the themes a bit. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
On top of that as well, it's also going to be linear written, so that's what it's going to be more like mangas where it has one author as well. So yeah, that's it. And what else you asked about, like how are the 3
how did they influence you, just in like terms of like your inspiration for comics?
I'm gonna be honest with you. The biggest inspiration for me was really just the fact that it's like you can make a story that is so far fetched, investing, and unbelievable. And the reason why I say it's believable is because it's like, I think the best way to describe it is like when you speak to your boys about like, I don't know, like a football match, you're so engrossed in, you're so involved in it, but it's like you weren't really part of it. And seeing that somebody write a story about like giants fighting over a country, or like wizards having to deal with I don't know, demons and stuff, but then it still manages to grab your attention. Like those 3 stories grabbing my attention mainly because of the fact that it's like it just seemed very realistic. It's like a lot of animes and like comics, it's always like the hero wins, but this one it's like there's actually casualties and there's rooms for like character to improve, rather than them using like plot armor to kind of keep the story going. If that makes sense.
Yeah, it makes perfect sense. And just to develop on that too, from my perspective too, I feel like, especially with like mangas like Attack on Titan, when you're reading it, it makes you see the scope of what's possible for a story. So like you see like mangas before, like you talk about old mangas, right? They weren't like that. You know, they were more classic, more commercial. You see these Japanese kind of like commercial stories, but then as you get into like Attack on Titan and Hunter x Hunter, you see like them take a turn where they try to really stretch the medium, right? And so like, for example, Attack on Titan, if you haven't seen it, go watch it. It's not our fault for spoiling. Big man, you know. But like in Attack on Titan, like the first episode, his mom dies, and you're like, what? Like, what's going on? Like, why does the main character have to suffer that in the first episode?
Nah, honestly.
But you know what I mean?
Yeah. You're fully right. You literally hit the nail on the. Oh yeah. You literally hit the nail on the head, because it's like that whole point with obviously him losing his mum as well. It's like it manages to grab your attention straight away. You're just like, how did these events lead up to this? And it's like you end up finding yourself already like 3 episodes in. There's more. Yeah, exactly. So it's like and that just kind of really made me really want to start writing. You know, I was always in my own head coming up with ideas, and then I thought.
Alright, let's go. Let's go on that. I know these men know your comic, but we haven't got the backstory on that. So like, talk to me about when you first started writing, when you first wanted to be a comic, when you first started even drawing. Like, talk to me about that whole process for you.
Alright, sweet. So it's kind of mad because I actually started drawing comics back in like year 2. But like I didn't actually want to do it. Like I didn't even know I liked doing it like that. I just did it for bounce with my one of my mates. We used to just play like bare Dragon Ball Z. So we like drew like our own like versions. It's like bare childish.
Drew Goku and stuff.
Yeah, you know, like Super Saiyan Goku and shit. But I remember like when I went to Nigeria back in year 7, like anime was such a big thing in the community, and like I said before, I just started getting put onto more anime, and then obviously in college it was like. That was when I was like actually thinking like, okay, maybe I might actually just start doing something related to anime. But it wasn't even like I wanted to write my own story. I actually wanted to do YouTube and make like dumb edits and stuff, and like, you know,
I've seen those edits,
that shit is wild.
That song behind it and the cuts.
Yeah. All that wild stuff. But like, it was just very like, it was very silly, and it's not even the fact that it was silly. It was just more of the fact that I wasn't gonna profit off it. So I started drawing
about that mullah, bro.
Yeah, bro. Like, I had to make some sort of piece.
True African, bro.
Literally, no, you're right. Like, my mom was telling me, it's like, how are you gonna be profiting off of all these silly?
You know, it's funny. The accent came in at the end. Yeah. You have to put the accent in just for, but yeah, go on.
No, literally for dramatic effect. No, it's like, bro. Oh yeah, my bad. Yeah.
Alright.
Sweet. So but what was I was saying?
You're saying about how like you started realizing you could make money off just drawing, so you wanted to actually do something.
Yeah. So I just pretty much wanted to actually just try and profit off it, and like I said before, in college I came up with ideas, and I didn't actually believe I could do it, and it wasn't until second year in uni, like one of my boys saw one of my artworks which I was doing for fun. He was like, nah, you can actually just like sell your artwork. So
do you remember your first idea that you had?
My first idea, yeah, man, it was you. This shit. I know you're gonna be in. It's not even a cheat. It's just bad childish, but alright. So basically, I came up with this idea where I was playing like a shit ton of like God of War and like I was playing, you know, the PS Vita, right? Yeah. You can basically play like old PSP games and stuff. Yeah. So I was playing like God of War 1, and I was just pretty much spamming through the whole game, and I thought to myself like, oh, you know what would be jokes is if I did like you know, a let's play when it has people doing like voiceovers over like the games. I thought, yeah, maybe I can do that. And then it's like I do little skits, like maybe if I die at some point, I draw a scene of like Kratos just like getting pissed off or some shit like that. So like I started just drawing like bare panels of like Kratos in my own artwork, and then I also drew like an avatar, like a version of me as a cartoon, and it's like I just had this whole skit, but I can't really remember where else it really went from there. But it was just really just me just playing a video game, and then I came up with this another original story back in the day when I was in like secondary school, but this one was just like just your typical shonen anime, you know. I was like, oh yeah, there's like these it was based off like, you know, the Chinese zodiacs. The tiger, the dragon,
the monkey, all of them.
Yeah. So I was like, okay, imagine it's got a similar vibe to Avatar. You know, there's like 12 nations. They all kind of do like monkey kung fu. There's dragon kung fu. And I was like, the dragon nation got destroyed by the demon nation, and then there's like.
You seen that one anime? It was like 12 zodiacs or something like that. You seen that?
12
There was like individual characters were based off zodiac figures.
The only ones I've seen is from Hunter x Hunter. I didn't know there was actually one. Cool. There's like an anime based off.
Yeah, there was, but it wasn't that good though.
I swear.
But yeah, okay, let me. So building off that, right? Because you're saying about how around that time, so you started like seeing this, you're like, yeah, maybe you have talent in this, right? Yeah. What was like? Because I know I've read your latest work. Is that the work that you were like, okay, cool? Or was it like a version of it before? Did it like develop? Or was the first time you started thinking, I'm gonna work on something long term and put effort into this? Because I actually believe like what I'm doing is like gonna make me some peace in the future.
All right. Well, that would have been in second year, to be honest with you. And I'll be honest, my first ever draft of like a story was the one which I just mentioned to you, the 12 Zodiac one. But the one which I'm currently writing now, I literally was coming up with ideas from that since so see it like this, I came up with the ideas in college and I didn't actually start writing stuff until second year of uni, because like I said, I didn't really think that, oh, I can take it seriously. It's just like it was all in a vault in my head. So I had the whole first 5 arcs already in my head, and then by the time it was already like second year and I actually started like writing it down, that's when I was like, okay, this is something I actually want to release and this is going to be like the final thing.
So talk to them about the story, the name, what the overall kind of story is.
Alright. So I don't want to really reveal too much, but basically, yeah. I don't worry, it's cool, bro.
You have to pay for that ass.
Yeah, man, it's gonna be bare peas, you know. Nah. It'll be worth it. It'll be worth it. It'll be quite pricey, bro. Okay. So the main story is going to be called Jagaban Boy. And it's going to basically be based... I'm going to give a short summary. It's basically about this kid who was experimented on by this underground organization that wants to use him as like a bioweapon for their own personal plans. And he basically manages to escape by being freed by these people called international explorers. Because like basically the politics in this world is that obviously you got a government that rules everything, but you've also got individuals who live by their own law. Obviously you have like gangs and like all of these other things. Well, not gangs, but like criminal organizations and stuff. But long story short, the kid ends up being raised in a city similar to London, and there's a bounty put on his head. So there's different types of like individuals from different types of syndicates and organizations that are after him, and you pretty much see the story progressing there. And the whole point of the story is going to be it's going to be like a coming of age. So it is going to be a very long story, and I also hope to work on like a continuation of a story with different characters to kind of wrap up the whole story. But that's all for now, really.
I mean, like, I've read it, and again, I'm not going to give too much away, but like the best thing about that story is how relatable it is. Like you mentioned how like it's supposed to be based in London, and bruv, it's literally like you grew up in London. Like obviously you did, but like the characters, you know, if you grew up in London, you relate to these characters so much, even the way they talk, you know, the way their motivations are, like they just want to get like, but the way the motivations are, but it's put in this really cool setting of a comic book where, like we were talking, it's like it would be like Hunter x Hunter, but like relatable to our world. You know, it would be like Attack on Titan, but relatable to our world. And I think that the ability you have to do that to obviously portray these characters really well, but also you get the basics of just a good adventure story, right? Good coming of age comic, right? You know, the fight scenes, the power levels, like we were talking about before, Hunter x Hunter. You know, the setting of the characters, the even the little things is just really like is really well done. And I think that's especially what I look forward to. Like I look forward to like just people just seeing that and seeing how these characters are so relatable, because I don't think you're right. We have all these stories that we look up to from Japan and stuff, but we don't have something that we can relate to and build off that. So tell me about why you decided to go with that perspective of like, let me make it as relatable as I can to my environment.
No, I love that, bro. Yeah, you know what? One of the things that really motivated me to do it was pretty much just seeing one thing was mainly just seeing more love to the anime community, mainly seeing like I don't want to say like black people, but it's like obviously you see ever since RDC World started doing like more anime and stuff, it's like I feel like it's kind of broaden the audience, and so it kind of makes it easier for me to kind of make a story that's more relatable. And so I really wanted to do it because it's like, for one, it's like I feel like you see a lot of animes and comics where it's like you kind of have this very common trope. So for like comic characters, you got the main character, he's like the nerdy kid, he's like unpopular, but he gets his natural powers, and then it's like he ends up meeting all these other superheroes. And then like anime is like the dumb but untalented, but cursed kid. So I wanted to make a story where it was just like basically normal people who you see in everyday lives. I based them not necessarily of people I know, but like very common traits which you see from like different areas, and I thought it would be very interesting to try and incorporate supernatural abilities with the just with like common urban just vibes, if that makes sense.
Nah, it makes perfect sense. And just to go off that, I know we spoke before about some of your influences was like the guy who made Boondocks. What's his name? Aaron Magoon. Yeah. So him, for example, Boondocks is a very big show which kind of talked about, had that kind of vibe where the characters were just themselves in their own little world, and they kind of portray that. Was that a big influence for you?
No, sorry, bro. Yeah, I'll definitely say Boondocks was a massive influence, especially for the art style for my work. The thing I really loved about Boondocks was the fact that it wasn't one of the first, because I know there was like other animes that obviously had like black characters, but you had shows like Afro Samurai. You can't even talk about Uncle Ruckus, you'll get cancelled, bro. If you want to stay monetized, you can't talk about Uncle Ruckus. Your free speech, man. You wild, man. You wild. Nah, Uncle Ruckus is a class. But that's my point. Like characters like that, is what makes shows so intriguing, and it's like the fact that they weren't afraid to kind of like bring reality into TV, or even just entertainment, is what kind of made me more motivated to kind of like do the same thing with my current story, Dragon Boy. I wanted to write a story that was not only raw but also very kind of like relatable. I'm sorry, what was it you asked? You asked like what was the shows, or
no? I was just asked. I asked kind of like, was that a big inspiration? You kind of asked.
Oh yeah.
And so to build up that too, like in what way was it inspiration? Because like I wanted to know, because obviously how they talk about complex social topics in Boondocks, and that's kind of the whole thing. They depict this world which is so ridiculous, but in a way it's kind of like our world. So it makes you kind of like laugh at the ridiculousness of it, because you're like, there's definitely a character like Uncle Ruckus out there. You know what I mean? Exactly. Even though it's like funny, there's definitely someone out there like that. So is that kind of like in your way of being relatable? Are you also trying to kind of touch on some social topics, or is it just trying to go for a good story people can enjoy?
Right. Well, I'll be brutally honest with you. I'm not necessarily trying to make it very like political or try and go over like specific topics, although I won't lie, there are topics which I do kind of like brush up on. I feel like the topics I do brush up on though are more kind of stuff, I'd say like college to like not even college, but from like 16 to like, I don't know, 25-year-olds could relate to. I know that's a very big age gap.
That's a good age gap though, right?
Yeah,
because it's like coming of age, like you said, right?
Yeah, basically coming of age, but on top of it as well, it's just also just more based on relatability. So like I said before, a lot of the topics I'll be focusing on are mainly just stuff where it's like they're not too political, but it is a conversation you probably had with your friends, the type of converse you have with your boys. 100%. And then it's like, oh yeah, the girls will have their girls chat, blah blah blah. So
blah blah blah, blah blah blah. So having read your story, I think there's one thing also that it was pretty unique about it was the way you handled music. The way you kind of intertwined music into your story, where like the script I got, you would have like a music, and if you listen to it, it kind of had the same vibe. So what was thinking behind that? Did you like, why did you decide to do that? And like, did you really like think about, because it was clear that you thought about how the reader was going to consume your work, and just talk about that for me.
Yeah, for sure. With that whole concept, it's that really just came from just me just listening to a lot of music. Because I find myself zoning out a lot. Like I'll just be monging out, being in my own head, but I'd come up with like just random, like not like music videos, but when sometimes you watch like, I don't know, something like Guardians of the Galaxy, and it starts playing music in a fight scene. That really inspired me to obviously incorporate that whole thing as well. Something like Guardians of the Galaxy. What's that show called? Kingsman, when they're
the fight scenes and music and 100%,
and it's like, I feel like the reason why music plays such an important role is because it's not only just like the sound, but like some of the lyrics. Sleepy Hollow and Chef G, I'm not saying that exactly like Zeke and they've gone through the same stuff that he's gone, but it's like the mentality of Zeke's character is kind of relatable, especially with the lyrics, kind of like certain circumstances. And it's like, I feel that you don't need to explain when you're watching something. The character doesn't need to always say something. Sometimes you can just use visuals to explain a character's personality. Sometimes you can use music, and I think especially with anime as well, it's going to be difficult to always animate somebody's emotions. So by having music in it, would probably be able to add more layer to the overall just topic at that time.
Yeah,
So
no,
yeah.
100%, 100%. And I think like even you just saying that, I remember when I was doing writing, and they were telling me about how you build characters and you build a world, and it's like not just the exposition or the script of the characters, it's like their clothes and the setting, the way the mannerism. There's so much ways that you can use to infuse the story with more information about just your characters. And like you mentioned, like Chef, what's the name of the artist? Chef G, and I actually listened to that song you sent. It's actually kind of hard. Still, it's actually kind of hard. Like, talk to me about like that. Then, like you said, you kind of see them as Zeke. Like, what was the thinking behind that? Did you find the artist and go like, oh, the topics they talk about, or like the vibe they give off reminds me of this character, and did it influence your like how you create this main character or what?
I mean, you pretty much hit the nail on the head with that one. It was really just more of like the overall vibe of like the artist. Because I wasn't like, when I first started coming up with the ideas with Jagaman Boy, like I've gone through various artists. I went from listening to like Joey Badass to like Trippie Redd, Playboy Carti. So when I finally wrote Zeke's story at that time, I was listening more to like very chilled type of songs. But I wouldn't. Okay, I feel like I kind of waffled off, but what I was really trying to say,
I hear what you're saying.
yeah, I was literally saying that the whole thing with those artists, it was just more of the fact that it's like, because of the circumstances what Zeke goes through, the main character goes through in that part of the story, I feel those artists played a bigger role, kind of not represented, but it's like, how do you say it? The type of music they made associated very well with like the mindset and the character. So a lot of the time I'll just be finding myself just shoveling through songs, listening to type beats. You know the type beats where you just like freestyle, yeah. And I came across like a Chef G type beat one time, and I was just banging out that beat.
Wait, not to interrupt you, but I think it was funny. If I put a type beat on, could you freestyle?
Oh shit!
Freestyle, come on, yeah.
Shit. I mean,
Maybe next time.
yeah. You put me on the spot right there, man. Cause I ain't even freestyle like that.
That's why. Let's see what he's gonna say.
Shit. No, that's jokes. No, next time.
Chef beat type beats, and that gave you kind of like the mentality of you're writing to that.
Yeah, basically that. It's because, just like you said before, it's just mainly just the type of the beats, the sound, the rhythm. It just really resonated, because it's like, that's another thing as well. When I listen to a lot of songs, it's like, it would kind of reflect the overall mood. One thing I didn't even mention as well was that the main character as well, it's like I said, they're all influence of scenario, not people, but like interactions that I've kind of like experienced. And it's like, what I kind of realized was, even writing Zeke's character himself, it's like a lot of the artists that I chose, it was also because of the mindset of what I was going through at the time. I found myself listening to Chef G and Sleepy when I was feeling like, oh, I need to grind. Not that I'm not shit, but it's like, you know, when you feel low and you feel like you need to push yourself.
100%,
And that reflects on Zeke's character. So it was kind of like, I guess what I'm trying to say is the music is a reflection of basically my personality as well as the mindset.
100%. I completely agree, and I completely relate to that. Like, to even speak personally, I think whenever I write, like for example, my poetry, I can't write unless I'm feeling a certain type of way about something, you know. And I use it as a way. And I was speaking about this in my last episode. I use it as a way of kind of understanding what I think about something. So like, even like maybe you relate, but I'll write a scene and I'll be like, okay, cool. What was I trying to say? And then through the process of me refining that scene, I'll get to the bottom of what I was trying to say about a topic, you know. Or like I understand it a bit more, you know, and like kind of delve into it, you know. And I think definitely influences are movies I'd watch, the shows I'd listen to. These are all influenced that story and how the process was created. And to just go off that too, I know we mentioned briefly talk about one of your favorite movies, which is the Spider-Man, the first one, right? First, I don't even know how it's not the second one. The second one I think is banging, but I'll let you speak on that. All right, so go on. First, why is the first Spider-Man your favorite over the second one? And also like how did that, because that's like kind of the vibe you kind of were going for. How did that influence your stories and the way you write your comic?
All right. Well, see it like this. The first Spider-Man, and when I say the first Spider-Man, I don't mean like Tobey Maguire's one. I'm talking about that. Tobey Maguire's a goat. Don't. I wouldn't even say fuck Andrew Garfield, because they all did their thing. I just feel like Andrew Garfield is not on like the Tom Holland and Tobey thing. But Miles Morales' thing, bro, that man literally patterned that so well. And it's like
100%.
I rate it so much because it's like, I feel the whole point of Miles's character is that he's supposed to just be like, he's supposed to be his own character, but he felt like an original character in the sense that he's like, okay, he's just a young teen who just kind of likes listening to music. He's moved into like a more private school. He's not really with his boys. He's kind of just getting used to everything, and it's like the fact that he seems so basic, but yet he has very specific traits. You know, he's doing graffiti. But I rate that so much, and the reason why I love that is because it's like it turns a character from making him, especially a main character, from being an underdog or somebody who's coming from like some sort of curse or something, to just a normal kid who could literally be anyone. I think the reason why I love that movie so much was just more of the fact that it's like it retained his overall style. The fact that he's a graffiti artist, you see like the variation of colors, as well as like even the music choices. They had like Juice WRLD, they had Sway Lee, Post Malone. Like it really reflects his overall character. It felt like you're watching a movie in his perspective, and it seems a lot more intriguing than just watching another Spider-Man movie where he goes like da 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 da. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah. Go on that. How would you, if you had to do it, you know, on your story in a movie? How would you do that, and like what would you change, if anything, from what they did?
Well, in all honesty, I'll just pretty much mainly change the art style, because I feel my art style is not going to be very like flashy and colorful. I think it's gonna, like, even you've probably seen my art style, and I'll be honest with you, when it gets animated, I do want it to seem a bit more clean and crisp, but it's going to be very, how do I say it? It's going to be one of those, I think the best way to describe it is just by using another movie, and like I'd probably just say it's just going to be very like chilled and slow paced. And when I say slow paced, like for example, there's going to be a lot of scenery where the music will do more speaking, you know. A character could be sitting somewhere bunning a joint, and then it's just going to be playing like music in the back. No, but like just those small moments, or even like I don't know, maybe some random scene of them just like doing a freestyle, but you don't hear them freestyling, you see them vibing. So yeah,
100%, and
yeah,
that's like, I really look forward to that. I think like just it's good to have aspirations, especially like where you want to take your work, like the farthest you can take the work to, because that's it means that when you're writing right now, that's what you're working towards. So just speak a little bit about that. Like I know you said you wanted it to be an anime or a movie. Like how far do you think you can take this, and also like how do you think you're going to get there, like realistically?
Okay. Well, this is when the big questions come.
Big questions.
No, it's calm. Man's prepared, but. Now, I'll be honest with you, when it comes to that topic, I'll be... sorry, do you mind if you say the question again?
Yeah, of course.
I was a bit tongue-tied.
No, not even just that, like, because I understand too, and I'll go for me, like, how I try to do my thing, because I think, like, especially when you, like, grow up in, like, this kind of culture where everyone's so negative about success, it is really hard. Because you try, like, I think we spoke about it before, even when you send people your work, they come back with like the typical, oh, thank you, this is good. It's like, brother, nah, bruv, this is sick, fam. What are you talking about? Good. This is good. Like, I spent time on this, and it's very hard for people to like see the vision. So I think that's like, to me, like that's always my inspiration, to impact people on a level where they can feel the work. Because obviously, I think I write to make people understand. Obviously, I write for myself, but I write to see like, okay, this is my mind. Like you were saying, I'm exactly like that, stuck in my mind most of the time. So if I'm trying to like animate what's going on in my mind, or kind of put that to pen to paper, I want you to at least understand that, you know, and that's very hard. And I think over time, I just want to get very good at that, very good at making it the translation be very clear. You know, so like, you know, I want to be performing sometime to, you know, I want to be, you know, obviously touring in my books. I want this podcast to go big. Like anything I do, I want it to be successful. So basically the question I'm asking you is like, where do you kind of see it? Like how far? The reason I'm asking that, just to see, like, I know you think big and I know you're ambitious just like me, innit? So like how far do you think this thing can go, and like how you trying to develop into a place where you think, okay, like this is starting small, but like I can take it here. And also like how are you trying to get there, and like what, you know, like just what you're thinking about, the things you need to do to get there, you know?
I got you. I mean, in all honesty, like when it comes to genuinely getting there, my overall game plan is just pretty much just less than trial. I'd probably say it's just more experience. I've got a whole game plan. I mean, I'm trying to first of all just work on just getting a lot of experience. I've already got the basics done. I know the art style I want. I know the story which I want to write. I've already got a structure of how I'm doing it. But what I'm doing right now is just trying to get commission work and freelance work, just get people to actually like see some of the art, not see that artwork I've done, but like put something on my CV so I can then eventually get to a point where I work for a publishing company, well, not a publishing company, but a comic publisher company. And my game plan there is to hopefully like work in all of the different departments, so I can then end up having the experience I need to be able to then run my own department, not own department, but my own team that can end up eventually like producing the comic slash manga that I'm trying to create. And my overall dream, and like I do feel like I can achieve this. It's not going to be something.
Of course, bro.
Yeah, like
you will achieve it, bro.
nah, I love, bro. Like
on,
need that positive. No, but it's like it's we've got all the resources we need, you know.
100%.
And I don't feel like there's anything that's really stopping me other than just the decisions I make. But honestly, my overall goals, I'm hoping to potentially like make my own kind of like, not like brand, but like for example, I want to make like a few, you know, like Marvel, they have like a few characters.
So like underneath. Yeah,
exactly.
Like
Yeah.
brand, yeah,
basically a brand, you know. Hopefully just basically have like a team of individuals who end up writing their own stories, and it can be part of like this
Trying
Jagaban
to make
boy.
the big money.
Yeah, bro. Like it will be gassed, and it's like I kind of just want to also delve into other things, maybe into like a bit of clothing as well. You know, a lot of the clothing that is put in my story, you'll probably see some. Yeah, I'm gonna like use it to like potentially even get as like not resold, but like sold in like the market and stuff. So
100%, and I think this is like normal too. Like it's when you said about trying to make it as a freelancer, I've been thinking about that a bit lately too. Like just like I think what I realized early on is that we don't know shit about shit. Like we have the talent, but like in terms of the real world application of like how people are doing it, I know about it, but I don't have the skills. So we need to learn the skills. You know, like even Kanye, bro. Kanye had to go work as intern as like some fashion place before he could do his own thing, even though he was big in music. So like if you want to do a thing in some industry, you gotta learn the basics of that industry. So that's what we're doing now. You know what I mean? You're trying to get into the industry to learn what they know, so you can apply it to our own thing. And like what you said about like fashion and that, like I think 100% like as a creative, your mind works on different level. Like you might have to just like tell it, okay, not focus on all these other things, I just focus on this one thing. But like your mind does work on that level too. When you're writing there, when you're doing character designs, you go, that'd be a badass fit. You know what I mean? That'd be, you know what I mean? You have that perspective. You know what I mean? It's like, okay, now I touch on that to talk about that. Like when you do the character design and you see the clothing stuff, like, do you really see it? Like, okay, cool, I could put that. If I had the resources, I'd put that type of clothing out and sell it to people and mass produce it and stuff like that.
No, yeah, I mean, yeah, that's definitely something which I have been working on. I mean, if anything, I originally even came up with like clothing styles because, like I said before, you know, I said I wanted to do the whole animated thing with the Let's Plays. I was initially gonna do like clothing brands for it, but then I ended up, you know, how I changed to the comics. I ended up being like, okay, I can use some of the clothing brand ideas I've had originally and put it into the comics, and then I was like, yeah, like I want to potentially sell it. And the reason why I'm saying this is because I've seen a lot of independent like clothing companies start up. I've also seen a lot of like anime based clothing literally just become more mainstream. You know, people will be having like their own print tees and stuff like that. And I'm thinking to myself that like, yo, like I can pretty much just come up. I've got bare designs like already like patterned for certain characters, because that's another thing as well. It's the whole story is going to be a world building story. So you get people dressing up like roadmen, you got people dressing up very poshly and like well dressed. You got people who dress very just not even from this world, because it's supernatural, and it's like depending on the reception of like fans, that would be able to dictate whether or not certain clothes would sell better or not.
100%.
I feel like what you also mentioned earlier about the wide span of the creativity, when you were saying the whole idea of like, oh yeah, you can come up with like clothing designs from the comics. I feel like I can see the same thing obviously with you and like your writing, and like obviously with the podcast as well, because it's like podcasting and writing are like two very different things, but it's a very good gel. So
I love it. I love this guy's always trying to give me my flowers, but I love it so much. He's such a good guy. But yeah, 100%. I think like the where I want to take it, and I don't want to speak too much on here about it, because obviously you don't want to say things and not do it. I think it's better to just do it and then speak about it. You know what I mean? But like it's 100%. Like the way you can take things, you can take ideas and you can like really improve on it. There's so much possibilities. You just have to have the, like you said, the decision and the dedication and consistency. You know, I wrote this thing and I was like, the secret to success is like, you need originality, you need transparency,
you times that by consistency, and that gives you success. You know, so you need to have an original idea. You need to be transparent with yourself and other people about how you're trying to get there. Then you need to be consistent. If you can get those three right, 100% you're going to be all right.
Bro, that's going to be my new motto now. Sorry, no, I was just saying that's going to be my new motto. Like, that's actually a shock because I never even thought of it like that. But unsubconsciously, I've been doing that, just like being real with myself. Obviously, like keeping consistent with the work and kind of setting everything there. But
no, 100%. I think that's exactly it. Like I was doing it quite unconsciously too until one day it just came to me.